I think intros on YouTube are for YouTubers who actually have like an audience and a fan base, right? You know, I don't, so fuck that. Let's get into this. I think Jude's been wasted the past year. I think we're playing him out of position. I don't believe he's a number 8. I've got some statistics here and some data to back this up. I hope by the end of the video Chavi realizes this and, you know, maybe calls me, probably asks for my advice, why not? Maybe even hires me for his coaching team. I've got nothing else going on. I'm all ears, Chavi. And I want to try and convince you, but by the end of this video, that we are not getting the best out of him. So let's get into it. So I've got some data here, or some data, or however the fuck the Americans say it. And oof, what a bona fide superstar this kid is. I mean, I'm a big fan of the mixed race lad from Birmingham. And yes, I did just say mixed race. Then I like bringing race into my videos because, especially today, people are very sensitive, and you know, it puts them on edge a little bit. They might start thinking, oh, should I subscribe to this guy's channel? What's he really like? You know, maybe some hateful messages will be left in the comments, and people start arguing, and then that's all, you know, money for me. Yeah, I'm joking. I would never do that to try and grow my channel. I think I've got an idea for another video now. Anyway, what am I talking about? Back to Jude. Yes, this kid is amazing. I truly believe that. Now, if we have a look at his numbers here, this is for last season, and as you can see here, his numbers are extremely good when compared to other midfielders. If we then compare him to other attacking midfielders and wingers, he doesn't look so great anymore. And the point of this video really is that's where I think he should be playing. But I don't think that's a fair comparison, because if we then compare his numbers to what he was like in the 23-24 season under Carlo, his debut season, his numbers all of a sudden look incredible once again. And that's the point. Last season he was played as a midfielder, so I think it's a little bit unfair to compare him to attacking midfielders and wide players, let's say. But I don't want to use his first season's numbers, because people could say, well, he just had a great debut season. Many players have had a great one season and then dropped off and never been the same again, and that could be true. You're right. Sometimes you do get on a roll and you're just in a rich vein of form, and every time you touch the ball, you score a goal, like Jamie Vardy during Leicester City's win of the Premier League. So I'm not going to focus on that too much. I actually want to focus on last season's numbers, because I think there's some more interesting information in there. Jude good at then? Let's get into his strengths before we talk about his weaknesses, and pretty much everything, to be honest with you. I mean, if you have a look at these numbers, he's a goal threat. He gets assists. I mean, 96% in terms of assists there, 88% in terms of shot creating actions, 92% progressive carries. He can dribble with the ball. He's powerful. He's strong. He's got an aerial presence. I mean, I actually think he's such a graceful player to watch. I saw Zidane back in 2005. I went to the Bernabeu and I saw Zidane. We lost 2-0 against Athletic Bilbao. It was pretty embarrassing, really. I saw Raul. I saw Brazilian Ronaldo. It was a fucking beautiful experience, by the way. And he does remind me a little bit of Zidane. I know people might think that's a little bit crazy, but the way he moves with the ball, if you saw the goal he scored against, I think it was Napoli away in the Champions League, he just glided past people, and he's not that quick. He really isn't, and he doesn't use skills to beat his player, to beat the opponents. He drops the shoulder, he shimmies. He's a very beautiful player to watch when he's on the ball, you know, and that's another reason why I don't think he should be being played in that centre midfield role, because you limit that. You don't get him on the ball as much, or at least you don't get him on the ball in the areas you want him to be in the pitch. So why don't I think he should be played as a CM then? Because if you have a look at his defensive numbers here, they're actually pretty respectable. I mean, if we compare him to someone like Declan Rice, for example, and in comparison, Jude's numbers are pretty good. He's got a higher tackle percentage than Declan Rice, similar interceptions, slightly better. So you might start to think, well, what's the problem here then? You know, if Declan Rice had a fantastic season last season for Arsenal, and Jude's numbers are defensively just as good, what's the problem? And I actually think Rice and Bellingham share a similar problem here, and it's why I don't think they work very well for England. But you know, we can get on from that. We'll get onto that in a minute. The problem with both of them is they need to play next to controllers. They need players next to them that are going to dictate the tempo. We saw when Arsenal played against PSG's midfield. Look, they got dominated for large parts of that game. They really did. And I'm going to show you here Vitinha's stats, and it's off the chain. It's off the scale. 99% passes attempted, 99% pass completion. He can control and dictate the tempo, something Declan Rice and Jude can't do. And again, you might say, okay, you know, Vitinha is one of the best midfielders in the world. Of course he is. Let me show you Toni Kroos's numbers here as well. This is the last season of Toni Kroos, by the way. 34-year-old Toni Kroos, and he's still getting 99% passes attempted, 98% pass completion. He runs a game. And that's the thing, that's what you need. Whether it's the left 8 or the right 8, someone in the midfield needs to do it. And unless your centre defensive midfielder is Xavi Alonso or Pirlo or even Xavi, you know, someone needs to do it. And I think that's Arsenal's problem, but, you know, fuck Arsenal, I'm not talking about them. It's Madrid's problem, because if you've got a midfield with Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, this is a very, and you throw Bellingham in there, you go, this is a very defensively solid team. They all have great stamina. They work hard. They defend tenacity, you know, with tenacity. But if you look at the numbers last season, we conceded 38 goals last season. That was the most we'd conceded since the 2018-19 season, which was that disaster season we had. The season before that, with Toni Kroos, who's probably, you might say, defensively worse than Bellingham, and, you know, Luka Modric would have played more games back then, we only conceded 26 goals, sorry. 12 goals difference. So we were actually defensively better in that season when Bellingham was further forward, even if, you know, his numbers might suggest that, because in the modern game, I mean, in all eras, I assume, but especially in the modern game, you need to be able to keep hold of the ball. You've got to make the oppositions run, and Bellingham's, that's not his strength. And if we go back to Declan Rice, as you see, 59% passes attempted, 50% pass completion. These are not dominating numbers from a controller. Bellingham's numbers are very similar to this. I mean, Toni Kroos has a laughably low successful take-on statistic because he just didn't try and do it. It wasn't his game. He doesn't, and I don't believe the number 8 needs to do that. The point of a number 8 is to run the game, is to control the game, and you want someone like Bellingham to take people on, because that's one of his strengths, and you want him to do that closer to the area. Another problem with Madrid, and this might change under Alonso, we don't know. Last season we spent an insane amount of time crossing the ball, considering we had no one in the box to head the thing. Jude is an aerial threat. He's great at making runs into the box and creating danger for the centre backs, because he's very clever with his timing, and he's also not afraid to stick his head on the end of something and get clattered and get an injury. These are all very good strengths. Scoring goals is the most difficult thing to do on a football pitch, and Jude can do it. So why we want to take that away from him and put him in that midfield area, I don't understand. And it is a similar problem to England. Most of you might not be England fans or give a shit about this, but you know, I am. So in England, he also plays in the 3, and he plays in number 8. Sorry. So the 3 in the midfield is what I was trying to say. You know, Declan Rice usually sits, Bellingham's to the left, and then we don't really know who's playing on the right. Sometimes it's Phillips, sometimes it's Kobe Mainu, Trent's played there. You know, it was a bit of a mess at the Euros to try and figure that spot out. But again, we've got no one there to control the ball and to dictate the tempo. And I don't believe you're getting the best. England are getting the best out of Bellingham either for that. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. I will shut the fuck up now. Hopefully the phone call from Xavi will be on its way, and you know, if he is, I will continue to make videos, even if, don't get me wrong, guys, even if I'm a member of his team, I will keep this channel going, and I will try and get some interviews maybe from the players. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I can use my Spanish. I can show off my Spanish. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you agree, that if you think that Trent should also be played further forward, and we're wasting his talents, especially when we already have great midfielders. We can already play Tchouaméni, Camavinga and Valverde, and then play him as the attacking midfielder. And I mean, that's such a powerful midfield. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.